something of a spectacle, right? And so that people are curious, they say, Emotiv Mobility, I'm seeing this everywhere at CES. What is it?
From ICU hallways to factory floors to the future of flying cars, Loria Lancaster has reinvented leadership at every level. This is a story of courage, evolution, and bold transformation, true BLT&T style. Let's dig in. Welcome to the BLT&T podcast. I'm your host, Matt Loria, serving up real stories of business, life, technology, and transformations. You'll hear from interesting people about big changes from career shifts to life-altering decisions and the innovations that help make it all happen. It's about sharing those light bulb moments, pivot points, challenges overcome, and the journeys that inspire us to think differently. If you're on the lookout for insights to propel you forward, stories that resonate, or just a bit of inspiration on your next BLT&T move, you're in the right place. Let's dig in. All right, welcome to this episode of the BLT&T podcast. I'm Matt Loria, and I'm happily sitting next to Loria Lancaster. So thank you, Loria, for being here.
Well, thanks for inviting me. Very exciting.
It is very exciting. You've said you've never been in a room like this before.
Well, I've been in a room about this size before, but not a podcast room.
You said mostly ICU rooms?
I said it's like an ICU room. I'm looking at a lot of cords on the ground, a lot of machines, a lot of weaving in and out. So
okay, good. So that's why you're so comfortable. Excuse me. So I gave this really cool cold opener about you, and I titling this one, Fearless Caregiving, Factory Lines, Flying Cars, the Ever-Evolving Life and Leadership Journey of Loria Lancaster. So no pressure, but this better be good.
Oh, I know. My husband's like, oh my gosh, you're on a podcast. You're going to do so great. It's going to go viral. I'm like, it can go viral for like negative reasons.
Yeah, right. COVID went viral too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think everybody's going to be really excited about this because, we love talking about folks who have, been bold, done something different, tried something new. And, you've really reinvented yourself a few different times through your working career. And that's not even thinking about, that you're a mom and a wife and, a sister and all these other things, but kind of three distinct career paths. So I can't wait to get talking about that with you. Where would you like to start?
Oh, I can start wherever you want to start.
Okay,
but
good.
Yeah,
that's what I thought you were
listening to that. I'm like, maybe it's the life and crazy times of Loria Lancaster.
Right?
I
like that one. That'd be fine. We have plenty of a creative license. We can do whatever we want to do here. So one thing I definitely want to make sure that we get talking about is for those people who don't know you, let's actually just say what it is that you're doing where you're working today. You're the president of...
So I am vice chairwoman at Dakkota Integrated Systems and vice presidential role of the Rush Group of companies, which was started by my sister, Andra Rush, way back in the day. And we're probably going to get into that a little later on, but came to help her out 14 years ago. And so I spend primarily my time with Dakkota Integrated Systems, vice chairwoman. And then we have started up Emotiv Mobility. That is another company we're starting kind of adjacent to the automotive work that Dakkota does.
And what this is the little teaser so that people, they'll listen to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Is that you guys are going at this so hard that you're actually going to be at CES this year in Las Vegas, and not just in a 10 by 10 booth, but you're not always known as the person to just go buck wild spending money.
Well, no, I like to spend it thoughtfully and carefully.
Okay.
We're very philanthropic, I will say that. But, I said if we're going to do an opening in CES and kind of a reveal party, then we need to make it something of a spectacle, right? And so that people are curious, they say, Emotiv Mobility, I'm seeing this everywhere at CES. What is it? So I felt like a bigger booth would help to really draw people in and get the curiosity going and help explain who we are.
That's excellent. So I would love to get a little bit of the backstory here, because you have had what I would call a career arc that is pretty special. Everything does build upon each step builds upon itself, and so it really kind of puts you very well suited to be exactly where you are today. But talk about where you started. And let's just we'll do the college. Start with college and the service and things like that, because
sure.
I think people should know, kind of the quick zigs and zags that we've made and things like that I got to hear about.
How did this crazy lady get here? So I come from a family, so there's 4 girls. My father had 4 girls, and later in life they adopted, our younger brother from Russia, but that was later on. So I grew up with 3 sisters, and there's quite an age difference between us. I often joke that the parents I had were much different than the parents they had. My oldest sister, I think my mom was 18 when she had her. So yeah, so there's age gaps between me and my sisters, 8 years, 10 years, and 14 years. So I grew up kind of almost an only child because most of them were out of the house. But I can remember growing up seeing Andra, and that's a sister I work for now, filling out her college applications at the kitchen table and being the first one in our extended family to go to college. She went to the University of Michigan. And so, from a young age, she was always a role model for me in that way. I knew that I wanted to go to college. School was a high achiever in school, knew that was my path. I never wanted to be a burden on my parents. So I researched it. I said, how can I go to college but not have to have them pay for it? And I didn't want to go into debt because I'm a little tight with the buck there. So I looked at the service academies. I was reading an article, and it talked about, Air Force Academy, West Point, Naval Academy. They pay you to go to school, and they're really considered a top-notch education. Oh, that's the way to go. This was like in 8th grade, so crazy even as a little kid. So I set that as my goal, and I was laser focused on that. I said, I'll go to the Air Force Academy. I'll get my pilot's license. Maybe I'll go to NASA. That's the path I could go down. So I set down that path and achieved that. With that came other opportunities that I never really explored because I was laser focused.
On track.
So yeah, I went to the academy. I was there 2 weeks. I call it summer camp, kind of weight loss camp. And that's where I met my husband, Kevin. So fast track MRS there in 2 weeks. But, he had just given me his number and said, hey, can you send me some Michigan gear? Because he knew my plan was to go to U of M.
So you only went there for two weeks, and then you transferred to
Yeah, I had received a full ride from U of M, so that was fortunate. It kind of achieved my original goal, and getting out at the academy, I'm like, listen, this is everything they said it would be. It is everything they said it would be. But there was a lot of self-reflection saying, why are you here? And I've learned, and I don't know if it's my Native American heritage, but when the universe talks to you, you better listen. And I knew I was supposed to be at the academy, but everything was saying, you got to go. This is great. You achieved your goal, but really it's not for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
The maize and blue were calling.
I know. So my family's like, what do you mean you're coming home? This is what you've been working for. I'm like, this is the right decision for me. I know it. I feel it. And so...
So there was no looking back. I mean, you knew without equivocation that it was the right move.
It was the right move to go and the right move to leave. I felt it strongly, and I know others do. And I always felt like if I stayed, I can do it. It wasn't an ability issue. It was just like, this is where I'm supposed to be. But hindsight, I'm going to be married 35 years in December, and that's where I met my husband. I'm like, well, maybe we're supposed to go for that.
Yeah, that's great.
I love the Adjustment Bureau movie where it's like the universe is always tweaking you to get you where you need to be. So I say that every time I miss a turn. I wasn't paying attention. That was the Adjustment Bureau.
From doing this, though, and I think I say it in almost every episode, is that the thing that always comes through with everybody that I talk to is that the person sitting next to me is always doing exactly what they're geez, how do I say it? That you are, all of your experiences have built up to have you be exactly where you are right now. Right. And, you look back and you go, hey, I had the guts to leave when it felt right to leave. And your husband came out of that, your, education came out of that. And then after that education, what came from your U of M education? Was where you went into nursing from there?
Well, that was a political science degree. I later went back to school and got my nursing degree.
Okay. Oh, see, I should have said it's 4 different careers then.
Yeah, you know that. Why stop at 3 when it can be 4? So
where did you think you were going to go with the poli-sci, and what did you? I
was thinking I was going to go to law school for that. I talked to a lot of lawyers before I did that, and they're like, "Oh God, don't do that." So I didn't. I pivoted, and so we had gotten married, and we had 3 children who are now, I don't know what to call them because they're not children anymore, but they're great, and they're off in the world doing wonderful things. And, had been moving around a lot and was in Boston working in critical care nursing at Mass General Hospital before I came to work with my sister Andra in automotive. And our oldest at that time had just started at U of M, and we had come back to take him, drop him off for his freshman year. And I was talking with my sister then about, I think I'm going to make a change out of nursing. Maybe I'll go back to school, get my, CRNA degree. And that's very daunting, but I've been accepted. And so I think I might make a change. It's time. She's like, oh, well, you want to make a change, you should come work for me. And I said, what are you talking about? I said, I don't know anything about what you do. And she's like, no, it's people, it's problem solving, it's critical thinking, it's all the things you have, the rest you can learn. And she's like, I have these 3 companies now, I'm spread way too thin. When I look at succession planning, I expect it for my people, but I look behind me and I don't see, anyone that wants to step in that role. So, if you come and you do it and you like it, that's great. If you don't, you can be our nurse on the shop floor and give, vaccinations. Like, okay, well, so, I did. My husband being a pilot, he could make that move. And
so Ron, what year was this? Was this the 2014, did you say?
Yeah. So at the end of 2013, we moved and I started January of 2014.
That's about when I pivoted and got into this business. So
we're on the same, well, what did you do before? Now your business now is IT solutions and cybersecurity.
Yeah.
And
yep. So we help out companies, mostly those in the middle market. So not quite the Fords of the world, but also not the kind of single person office type of organizations. Right. And we help them with everything from managed IT, where we come in and take care of all or a portion of their technology, to just simply selling them the hardware and software that they need, to all of the cybersecurity needs that they have. So we do all of that.
Yeah. Do you do stuff in AI?
And we do. Yep. So our chief information security officer is also our head of AI. So we do some AI consulting as well. That's kind of the budding area of our organization. It sure is.
I mean, we're trying to figure out how we use it to make our team, everyone's saying, oh, we have so much more to do. So I'm like, well, how can we do it smarter? And I think we have tools in AI that would, allow us to do that once we figure that out and get over the fear of just play with it, see what comes out of it, what you can do with it.
It's interesting to be in this kind of this playground time, right? I mean, there's certainly some rubber meeting the road, and definitely in our industry there has been for a while on the cybersecurity side. I mean, the bad guys have been using it for a while, so the good guys have created a lot of technology to be thwarting that. But it's also creating a cybersecurity nightmare because we're in this playground time where forward-thinking leaders like yourself are saying, hey, let's figure this out. Let's play with this, and giving the open ability for employees to start trying it to try to hack their job and things like that. But now all of a sudden we have this other cyber risk of now we're putting all this data into these systems that we don't know where the data is going, and how are we protecting that? And so that was where it made the logical sense that our cybersecurity and AI division is currently together in the same silo.
That makes sense, yeah, because I've challenged the IT team like, we've got to educate the team on what's okay to put out in open AI and what you have to have, your arms around your walls around to protect it. So,
so you're going to see a whole bunch of, they're going to see a whole bunch of new technology that's emerging on how to protect that. And because we can only say it so much, right? And then we need the guardrails put up with the technology. So,
well, I appreciate that kind of work because that's the kind of work we.
Good. Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. And we met just a little bit of quick history. So we met because we both do some work with Cranes Detroit, right? Doing advertising and doing different events that we sponsor together with them. And so we met at opening day with Cranes
this year.
Yeah.
It seems like a million years ago that opening day happened.
So there'll be another one around the corner.
I know. That's great. Hope.
So it's great how that network just kind of brought us together to be able to have this conversation. And then Todd from your company has been great at connecting us and making sure this happens. So
he's good at pushing me outside my comfort zone.
He's pushing me outside my comfort zone too. Yeah. Now all of a sudden I'm looking into CES more and thinking, man, why am I not there?
That's what I wonder. Why are you not there? Be careful. Next
thing
you know, you'll have a giant booth and big old
50 by 80 booths.
A big old price tag to go with it.
So when you came over 2014, what did you start to do?
Well, that's a great question.
The consultants from the office was it Office Space? What is it that you do here?
Yeah, I know that was a question I got. So what do you do, Lori? It's like, well, that's a great question. Yeah. So, when I came to work for the Rush Group of companies, at that time, my sister, and a lot of people are familiar with her story, but in case you're not, she was a nurse. So I joke often I followed in her footsteps without really ever meaning to follow in her footsteps. It's kind of how it happened. I talked about her going to U of M, and I went to U of M, and then her degree from there was in nursing, and then I ended up getting a nursing degree later on, and then coming to work with her companies. So I feel like she's kind of paved that path there, and I'm walking down it. But I came to work with her because she had Rush Trucking still. From that, in 2001, she had started a joint venture with Magna, which is Dakkota Integrated Systems. So that company's been around 25 years now. And then in 2012 timeframe, she started a joint venture with Forvia, however you want to say it, which was Detroit Manufacturing Systems. So she was spread pretty thin.
Okay. And that we had Bruce Smith and Tom Swartz from DMS have been, they've actually been in this room on this podcast. They've been good stewards
of the baby there.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
They're doing great things. Yeah.
Great people.
And they sure are. And so I came to work and I spent initially probably that first year many times, a lot of my time at DMS. But what I tried to do was, if we had best practices at one company, it often mystified me when I, inserted myself in meetings, which I had to do initially on. It's like, opening doors. Oh, here's where the meeting is. I didn't get the invite. Just invite myself.
You think that was by design? You think people were purposefully not?
She's the owner's sister, so she's probably a spy, and she carries around that notebook all the time. I'm just trying to learn the language here. So,
if you were a real spy, I think maybe you wouldn't have told them that you were her sister.
Right. So. Yeah. So for sure, try to keep that on the low. But if we had best practices at one company, and then another company was, running into a challenge that we'd already solved, it just mystified me. Why it's like, why aren't we talking with each other or helping each other? It's like, let me help connect you with somebody in the family of companies. That's how we run it. And, one team, let's figure it out together. So that was initially, kind of that role in that umbrella company as vice president of the Rush Group.
Were you able to break down some barriers by kind of
Yes,
going over top with the
definitely.
umbrella, basically?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it helps to get people in a room and talking and I hosted early on when I came, I used to host this, I'd call it a summer social, which I brought all the company leadership together. We did it at my house and they really got to like get face to face with each other. So I think that helped to bridge that because, it amazes me and we still struggle with it today. If people are in a challenge, of course you want to always try to solve it yourself first, but there's no shame in asking for help or raising your hand or saying, hey, I need a little extra assistance. I mean, oftentimes, that's, as you know, as a leader of a company, that's what we're there for. We're there to help remove roadblocks and help you get your best work done and solve any problems that you're having.
Well, I think that, where you were sitting and this comes from one of the mentors that was my brother's mentor. And then I got a lot of benefit from him as well, a fellow named Larry Short. And Larry would always talk about the cone, the leadership cone. And the person sitting at the top, the CEO, has a view down from that cone to essentially everything in the organization through their lens. Right. And everyone else sits at a different area of the cone. So they don't know what is happening next to them per se, because their cone is going down from where they are. They don't know exactly what's happening above them. And so what I feel like when you talk about that is that you had a perch on the cone here that was able to see down in a unique way and then be able to break down what you saw was, or bring together what you saw was missing. Oh, we had the same problem over here with this group. We can apply the same principles to fix it right over here. Got to get you guys talking. Why? Because on a day-to-day basis, you can't see from this, this vantage point. Yeah. So I think that's great. Even though you were a spy, right? Spies can still do good things.
I had one plant manager, he really knew how to manage up, and he was funny. He thought, oh, well, I'm going to call like a 4:30 a.m. We're going to like walk the plant type of thing. And, he was very surprised when I was there. Like, oh, you're here? I'm like, yeah, you said this is when the meeting was going to be. Why wouldn't I be here? And, it's like, buddy, I worked the night shift.
Yeah, I had to stay awake all night.
Yeah, you're not going to scare me. So, yeah.
How did people deal with, and how did you deal with, the whole, oh, this is the owner's sister, or this is the owner's sister, a nurse. What does she know? How did you deal with that? Both, on the internal side and on the external side, feeling those pressures.
Well, I think, you have to earn people's respect. I mean, you can't just walk in there and and think you can just tell them how to do your job, right? You have to sit back. I took time to learn. You got to learn the language. We talked about that a little bit. And you have to show up. Right? You can't just come in there entitled, because I'm related to ownership. So give me an office and, don't give me anything to do. That's not how you show up. You got to show up, roll your sleeves and get in the fray. And I think you do that enough and people are like, oh, she's legit. She really wants to be here. And, they will share and you earn trust that way. And, so that's what I did.
I've been hearing a lot lately about the knock. When an employee knocks on your office door and says, got a minute? And you immediately know it's some sort of IT incident. But Auxiom IT can help. Whether you're having a problem, need consulting, an upgrade, or a managed IT approach, they focus on preventing cyber attacks and proactive solutions that deliver results. My friend Matt Loria and everyone at Auxiom are ready to help before or after you get the knock. Visit Auxiom.com and let Auxiom IT help you outsmart chaos.
Great. And what were the learnings from, okay, so you learned a thing or two in critical care.
Yeah.
Then what did you apply from there? Would you say, that was like, oh, this cross industry value, right? That you brought. What would you say that was?
Well, it was interesting, right? So I came, I would get on these calls. I wouldn't know a lot what was going on, but we would have these morning calls, which all the plants would call in and they would talk about what happened the day before and any issues they had, maybe a quality concern or what have you. And so I would get on these calls and not listening. And then I had one plant that said, oh, we had a code blue yesterday at our plant. And I was like, oh, I know what this is. I'm from healthcare. So I was, get off mute and say, oh, well, did you get the AED? Did they call 911? What was the outcome for the patient? And they're like, Lori, what are you talking about? It's like a code blue, we almost shut a plant down because we didn't have a part. And I was like, oh, so that's your code blue here? I said, oh, we're going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
But I would imagine that today you think a code blue in this industry it's a pretty big deal.
It is a big deal. I have learned that. It's a big deal, and you really don't want that to happen, and it might be your own life that's at risk if you do cause that to
happen. When you... So 2014, then, you speed up and get into COVID. I would imagine that there was some value that you brought to the organization,
from
your history.
Were they happy to have a nurse on the team, man, that they could call 24/7 and say, hey, I think I have this issue or that. Do I have to send it? It's like, no, calm down. We're mitigating risk. And I think that was I was very busy during that time because there was a lot of uncertainty and people trying to understand, the CDC guidelines that were changing constantly. And we were in an industry, of course, automotive. We're back to work. I mean,
and what was your title by that time? What were you doing exactly?
At that time, I was vice president at Dakkota, still, the Rush Group vice president, of course. And, I had taken over the health and safety aspect of that as well. I mean, definitely in the day-to-day operations aspect. I had moved into the president role, I think, in 2021.
Okay.
After that, but 2020 COVID, that was, we did very well at the plant level. We didn't have any fatalities or any major outbreaks. So, I was really proud of how the team came together, followed the guidelines, and really kept our people safe.
Yeah, that was
huge.
A tricky time. So I bet that was, it probably helped to have a little bit of healthcare experience under your belt. We didn't have that here. So
yeah.
I did more of the panic.
I know. It's always, there was a lot of coaching for sure. It's like you never get 100% risk out. So
sure.
So yeah.
What was the impact with the supply chain at that time for you guys, and how did you navigate that?
Well, at that time, 2020, it's like, oh, great, COVID's lifting. We can get back to normal in the automotive world. We can, things are going to be rosy again. And then, of course, we had the chip shortage and then the labor crisis.
And I guess my question is how that affected you guys then in what you built, because what were you building at the time?
So we build suspension systems for like the Grand Cherokee and Explorer and for the GM products out of Lansing. And so we do that, overheads and instrument panels. So the chips are in all of those vehicles. So when volumes are down, that just affected us dramatically.
Got it.
Along with every other supplier. And then there was a huge push right after that for, to move into EVs. The OEMs were pushing that. They wanted the suppliers to push that. So, we had to be very strategic around those decisions on where to deploy our capital for new programs. So that was key.
How has that been, though, as from the whipsaw effect of the EV push to now not so much of the EV push? What have you guys done with that?
Well, when we had opportunities come for the EV, we were strategic on what we did bid for. And some we just said, no, we're okay. And so, I thought our poor sales guy was going to fall over and start crying. But I'm like, we're not going to do the F-150 Lightning. I'm sorry. He's like, why? I'm like, I'm not taking the burden of all of that capital investment with no backstops. I can't believe the volumes. There's no history for that.
Right.
And so it turned out to be the right decision. I mean, we had to be strategic on when we went into the EV. I mean, we support some EV vehicles now, but we didn't do it back then. We took a pause and a step back, which, thankfully that was the right move for us then. But at the time it was very scary. It's like, are we cutting ourselves out of this whole, opportunity?
Because all of a sudden you say no on one project, then nobody comes back to you for the other projects.
Well, yeah,
right?
you're bidding so early in the process, 3 or 4 years before the programs actually start, and starting to invest that capital. Then I worry.
Sure.
Worry for those that took that risk. I didn't want the company to have that risk, so we took a pause there, and it was the right move now that we have hindsight to know that, and we were able to grow in other areas, which is good.
Were you able to take some of the learnings though along the way for any of the EV projects that you did do? Was that some of the catalyst into Emotiv, the other company that you formed?
That, Matt, started when I first came, right? When I first came and they're teaching me the language, and one of the first lessons I learned was, this is automotive, so you need to understand, how the industry works. It's very cyclical, and usually about a 7-year cycle. It rises real well, and then we'll have a little peak and valley, and I was always challenging the team. Well, why aren't we using our core competencies that we do so well in automotive? They can translate to other industries, adjacent industries. I mean, we do value-added manufacturing for our OEM partners. You can do that in healthcare. You can do that in aerospace. You can do it in a lot of different industries. And, the team said, hey, that does make a lot of sense. They just didn't know how to get there. Okay. I mean, you take a lot of diehard 100% automotive people and try to get them to think that way or see how that can translate. It was very difficult, and we didn't seem to get any traction. And at that time, you had talked about Bruce Smith and his organization. We had sold DMS in 2018, and we had sold Rush Trucking in 2020. And at that time, we were kind of, we had divested of those, and we were Dakkota's, we have a great company culture, and people come and they love working for the company. And so we had a lot of leaders that were there for a very long time. And that is great. They were great stewards of the company, but it came time for them to retire. And in 2022, we had a transition. We had a lot of, our senior executive leaders that were hitting retirement age, and it just seemed like they were retiring one after another. So with that change, there came opportunity. So, as we looked for people to come, and, I was president at that time, so I looked to bring people in to help in those positions. I was able to find individuals who had some automotive experience, but really had some strong experience in adjacent markets. So I brought in a CEO.
Okay.
That's when I moved into the vice chairwoman role.
Got it.
And brought in Aaron Rivers. So he's our CEO at Dakkota and Emotiv. He is he has experience in automotive, but he has experience in those adjacent industries like aerospace and like the energy fields. So that's been really pivotal in our transformation.
So you kind of had like, I'm just putting this together right now for myself. It's not in my notes, but you had a few different things happening. You had a retiring workforce, which allowed the culture to maintain, obviously, because you've been in business for quite some time, but also had the changing of the tides, able to bring in some new blood, right? You had the learnings of, hey, we've played around with EV and other technologies, so we've got some technical know-how here, but you then realized that you had to actually put those in two different separate pillars.
Yes.
Right? Because there was still some of that. This is the DNA of automotive, and this is the DNA of something else. Is that why you did that?
That's a pretty good way to put it, right? And so as we look to build out Emotiv Mobility, we have those core principles we learned from automotive, right? And so we take that and we put it into, we have some intellectual property there. We're looking at the energy space and how we can help, energy companies make smart transformers. And so we have some technical capability around that we are putting to use. I'm very excited for that because we need it as a country as we look to try to push EV and electric vehicles forward. And it's really a good answer for our sustainability of our planet, right? We have to have the infrastructure to support that.
Mm-hmm.
And right now in the United States, our infrastructure is aging. That's no secret to anybody. So trying to take it a step back and saying, how can we solve that problem so we can make the EVs successful over here, I think led to us looking at, building transformers and being able to really get that infrastructure where it needs to be in the United States, help to be a solution provider for that and make them be smart is kind of key. That's one of the things we're doing at Emotiv Mobility. And we'll show that at CES.
Great. You had talked about being a value-added manufacturer. Mm-hmm. So value-added manufacturer and then mobility. Mm-hmm. So those are, can you explain kind of what the difference is between the two? Because the piece that I want to make sure that we share here, because I heard this from you the other day, is that, and you just mentioned it now, but we didn't totally grab onto it. You have IP, you have intellectual property, you have something that you guys have developed and created in this side of the house, in the mobility side of the house. But before we go into that, what is a value-added manufacturer?
So a value-added manufacturer is where, it's what we do very well at Dakkota today, right? We work with our OEM customers, our automotive customers, and we're pretty much an extension of their plant. And we can take, like thousands of parts and put them together, right? Assemble them into a component, complex component that we can ship it right then. So we manufacture that whole thing together and give it to the plant to just pop it on. A big Lego piece.
And just in time too.
Just in time, just in sequence for that.
Okay.
So we do that as well. So we do that and we do it well. And, but in the meantime, we do, as we look to the mobility piece of it and trying to, push forward that way, we've come up with some ideas around the EVs, the energy transfer, how you propel vehicles, how you can take a vehicle's energy that it's not using, but creating and is going to waste and almost recycle that within the vehicle to power it. So we have some patents around that we're really excited about.
Interesting. So you take the manufacturing plus the design capabilities, the engineering capabilities.
Exactly.
And now with Emotiv, you can work with a company. It doesn't have to be as big as a large OEM like Chrysler or Ford or General Motors. This can be things like what you're showcasing at CES, which are the drones, the flying car part. We should probably talk about that.
So we can integrate all that together, right? The technology pieces, along with the manufacturer and how you can take a product or work with a startup that has an idea, but they don't know how to manufacture to scale and they don't know how to follow the rigors that you need to be in an automotive space or in an aero space to do that. So we are showcasing, we have a partnership with an eVTOL company. So that's electric vertical takeoff and landing. So it looks like a flying car and it can, some of them, it's almost like a big drone, but it really holds people. So that's the car part. It looks like a car when you're in the inside. And, you can deliver goods and services that way. You can deliver people that way. So when you look at use cases, there's airlines that are looking at that for like, how can we shuttle between going from, you land in, LaGuardia, but you have to connect to Newark. That can be hours where we could just put you in the VTOL and get you over there.
Oh, wow.
Like it's a shuttle at like you're getting on the tram at the airport. So that's, a use case. But we're working with a company coming out of Israel, and they're doing their testing with the Air Force and the FAA. And once they come, we will help them, to integrate, their technology with our capabilities and be able to manufacture.
Can we pull
scale.
up a picture of? And is this a prototype that's on the website, or is this actually?
They're actually flying in Israel.
Okay.
But to come to the United States, they have to go through the testing.
You thinking that it can hold some cargo as well?
It could hold cargo.
Or package delivery, things like that?
Yeah. It's package delivery. Well, I mean, like heavier payloads, like bigger things, I think.
So this is for something a little bit bigger. It's not going to show up.
It's not going to show up with your Amazon Prime package.
Okay.
At your house.
But as we know, right here in Southeast Michigan, in the Pontiac location for where the Pontiac Silverdome used to be, is a Amazon facility, and that facility is a drone launch site, correct?
Yes. Pontiac is like the test site here. There's a drone corridor in Detroit that they've opened up.
Okay.
Mayor had a dozen yellow light donuts delivered to him that he handed out to the police officers there. That was pretty cool. But so Amazon's delivering packages, and like what I heard, and I could be wrong by maybe $1, but I think it's like $4.95, $5.95 for a Prime member to get a drone package delivered, and not, it's like $7 or something.
Okay, and it'll probably be weight restricted. Obviously, it has to be able to get liftoff with the with what it is. But if it's something small or whatever,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I think that it's super exciting. I think I call this like a very big drone, but it's much more than a drone.
Sure.
It's very much into the aerospace because it's with the FAA. And
when do you think we'll see those? So, I mean, if they're getting their approvals and moving forward, and that the technology works, and you've got an ability to help manufacture these and probably solidify more design work and things like that, and put them all together at a certain point.
Yeah. Well, there are some that are operating. I think there's Archer and Jovi who have some operational eVTOLs in different cities in the U.S. right now.
Okay.
And this is a unique opportunity with Air because they would be able to fly in the, what do they call that? The recreational sport aircraft ability too. So somebody could get, you or I could go get like our pilot's license to fly that ourselves.
Oh,
versus
interesting.
Having it be like an automated, somebody else flying it.
Okay.
You're just getting it in.
Wow.
But they are using air taxis like this in different areas in the United States right now.
So what's your guess if you're a betting person? When do we see it here?
27 is what I've been hearing. 28.
Maybe here in Detroit area, or widespread.
Yeah, widespread. I think the FAA is figuring that out. They're mapping out with. We have a local company here that would probably be interesting for your podcast. They're called Airspace Link.
Okay,
and they kind of are like the one of like 2 or 3 companies that are really mapping out the airspace for drones across the United States, and that's, they've got to get all these different like airspaces defined and patrolled, basically. Especially when you introduce, a machine like the eVTOL into the airspace.
Wow.
I know.
Wow. Interesting stuff. So just as we get our cars figured out to where they're braking and maybe not hitting each other as at the same rate, now we're going to have drones and have the whole next level of, how are we keeping those safe? How are we keeping those from, intersecting with each other incorrectly, or,
it's the
having
Jetsons.
Wild.
It's happening now.
Wild. Back to the Future. It's finally coming. After they thought 2015, I think, with Back to the Future, but they were off by 15 years or so. So, so the next thing I want to talk about is We'll cut this big long hash out here. Next thing I want to talk about is culture. So you had mentioned that Dakkota has a special culture, a culture of longevity, long tenure, familial leadership, just a familial feeling throughout. What are you doing now to make sure that Emotiv has the same, and that you're carrying that torch on for the next 5, 10, whatever years that you're looking ahead from here?
It's a lot of training and education, right, for our team internally. We talked about, people being fearful to raise their hand for help and all of that. And so when we have team members that come on board that maybe haven't come from companies that have a culture like ours, they are reluctant to do that, to ask for help with that. And so there's training around, like we talked about before, hey, it's you're not looked down upon if you raise your hand. It's actually what we want. Give us the bad news so that we can help you, work through it together. And so that's kind of eye-opening for some of the individuals that come from other companies or, other suppliers, definitely automotive suppliers for sure. And so it's kind of that education piece around that. And I think that it is hard trying to bring, because that comes a lot from the leadership. And as I said, we have new leadership on board. So they really get it. Mm-hmm. And, at the same time, we work to make our companies lean and to make sure we're growing in the right spaces, right? And learning the new technologies. We talked about, we're challenging our teams to figure out how they can use AI, how they can look at their processes and say, if I were to rewrite my process from ground zero, what could I eliminate? What could I automate? That's where AI fits in, and what needs more of my human interaction so that they can, not feel like they're overburdened with tasks that are just, repetitive. And I think that is really a key for us to grow and to move forward and to be competitive for sure.
Sure. Well, how do you balance the high performance nature of yourself, your organization, with the this place feels like home, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you make sure that you've got the throttle, but you also have the compassion, the empathy? How do you balance that?
Well, it is hard to balance. I think, part of it is I try to be very approachable. I mean, sometimes maybe I'm not. Sometimes I might seem not like I'm not because I go to the plant, but I have like a whole day full of calls to be on. Mm-hmm. So it's like, gal, is it really effective for me to go there, but my door's closed the whole day because I'm on one call after another after another? Right. So you have to be intentional about it, right? And try to get out on the shop floor and, and make sure that it's the little things that count, right? When you're walking through, just make sure you say hello to people. I mean, it seems so simple. It seems like, well, of course you would do that, but sometimes you can be when you have so many things on your mind and going on, it can be easy just to be in your own head, walking to your office down the hallway and walking right past people. So I try to be intentional about doing that. And I think that's helpful because people feel like they can come talk to me. And I think other leaders see that and emulate that. So good. I think that's part of, you can be busy. You can be, solving the problems that come up every day, but you can also do it in a human way by offering respect to those around you. We've promoted that. That's been part of Andra's culture from the very beginning. Mm-hmm.
Well, she's known as a high performer.
Oh, yes. So, she's very much so.
That exists in your organization.
It comes from our parents. DNA. They had a great work ethic.
You had mentioned to me that your parents, your dad was entrepreneurial?
He was entrepreneurial.
What did your dad do?
So my dad, when he was 15, because he had 8 brothers and sisters, my grandmother came from the reservation in Canada. So she was Native American Mohawk Iroquois and married our grandfather, who she said was a Heinz 57, because he was an orphan. And she's like, he's got a little bit of every nationality. But they had 8 children. They lived in Detroit. And when my dad was like 15, he got a job to help the family. And he got a job in a bump shop, so like a collision repair shop and, just sweeping up. But he was watching the painters and he learned a trade. So he learned how to paint cars.
Okay.
He's very good at painting cars. Like, you got in an accident and, he could paint it so it never looked like it ever had anything done. And taught all of his brothers the trade. He eventually worked at the GM Technical Center, the tech center there.
Mm-hmm.
Got all his brothers' jobs there. So they were like, a crew in there, but very talented in what he did. So he did that. But when he worked in the bump shop, he also worked out of the garage, fixing up old cars, repairing them and selling them. And for a while, he had a collision shop in Pellston, Michigan.
Oh.
We lived up north for a while when I was growing up. So after my sisters had, moved out of the house. And so he was up there with his own business for a while doing that. And then he got the opportunity to go back to the tech center. And so he did that. So he's very transformative too. So maybe that's where I get this wanderlust.
Yeah. But also, never this wanderlust, not misguided or unguided.
Mm-mm.
Following really smart, smart paths.
Always trying to challenge yourself in new ways.
It wasn't like you were hitchhiking across the,
No, kind of, but just like saying, hey, I've been working in this situation for, maybe nursing and call it a situation, but I've been working in this profession for a while. And what can I do next? Like, what's the next area I can grow in? Definitely coming to automotive isn't a logical first step, but, it was using different skills or skills that I didn't use at all, maybe like Excel. I can get it. I can get it done in Excel. It might take me a while. I might have to phone a friend, but to use those in different ways. So it's all about that.
But what about the fear? So show some people the human side of it. What was the scariest thing making some of these transitions for you?
Well, I'm an introvert, by nature. So just even talking in front of people, I hate it. But I do it. People push me into it, right?
Okay.
So I do what needs to be done, even if I don't like it. That's part of my nature. But yeah, always struggle with imposter syndrome. I think that's common. It's very common, I think, in women leaders, to have that. But I think men face that just as well.
I would say so.
Yeah, they pull it off really well if they do. But no. So
I'll let you have a conversation with my wife. She'll tell you that I don't pull it off very well.
Yeah. So I don't know. I there's always self-doubt, right? And I think if you show up and you are committed to the work, you're not afraid to put the work in, I think you can get there. I think people are willing to help you, and you have to be willing to let them.
I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is this sense of foolish pride, not asking for help, and how I find it to be the most helpful. The most transformative, the most helpful thing for me is that I just ask for help, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you had mentioned some people, like Paul Glantz. If something's on my mind, I call him.
Right.
And I know this may sound stupid, Paul, but what do you think about this? And I have no problem just sharing that with him. But he's been such an open person to me since the first day I met him, that I have that line with him. But really with everything, I mean, I feel like people don't understand reciprocation and that effect that people, that it doesn't bother people to be asked to help.
And I think they're surprised if they send an offer out there. I always take people up on it. I'm like, don't be surprised. I will take you up on it.
My wife says, don't ever offer to Matt. Don't say that we have a pool. Come on over anytime because I'll come over.
Exactly.
The same thing with help. Is if you say
but I think a lot of people maybe don't take people up on that.
Yeah,
when it's out there.
I think that's very true. Because I mean, I how many times have you offered help to someone that you knew that you could guide them in some way, you could affect change in some way, and they never called, called back, right? And you were a willing participant in that. They didn't understand it, and I wonder why. Is it because there's a pride that they don't want to ask for help, don't want to admit they don't know, or is it the fear of change?
Well, fear of change. Change is hard, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I think people need to listen to people like you who have made the change, and it's like, hey, the change is not easy, but it's worked out pretty much every time.
Yeah, I mean, I always like to say, what's the worst that can happen?
Right.
Kind of like my sister put that backstop in. Well, if you don't like it, you can just go back to you can give shots in the plants and
sure.
Like, well, okay.
Yeah. What's the worst that can happen? My sister-in-law gave me a sticker that is it's not. I didn't stick it to my mirror, but it's sitting next to my mirror in the morning. It says, "But did you die though?"
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Because no matter what it is,
code blue. Is this the worst that can happen?
Right. So I hope others will listen to that. What would you tell your younger self that you know today that maybe you didn't know 20 years ago? I mean, you would have been 9 then, right? 20 years ago, you would have been 9.
I think that when I was young, I felt everything had to be perfect, right? A perfectionist mentality. So I think one of the things, there's probably a couple of things I would tell myself. One of the things is, don't be afraid to be wrong. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. You got to give yourself grace to do that because that's kind of how you learn, right? And don't be afraid to ask the question. You talked about imposter syndrome, and, it would always make me so internally angry with myself when I'm in a meeting or, question and I say, wow, they probably all already know that and that's a stupid question. And then some guy would ask the same question. I'd be like, oh, I knew that was a good question. Why didn't I ask it? So don't be afraid to do that.
That's great. What grounds you outside of work?
Wow.
Okay. When you're not in the office, let's say, we know you're always working.
No, but, I mean, I try to stay active physically. I try to watch over my health, right? I try to get up in the mornings and do my workout first thing because I'm not good at doing it after I had a day of work. So I try to be intentional about doing that. I try to...
What time do you wake up? Okay.
About when once in a while it's like, oh, but I was sleeping before the alarm went off. So I'll say maybe I should listen to my body. But no, I try to be physically fit. Try to watch what I eat. The team knows this. They're always ordering me salads. Get pizza, but that's very nice of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. My family grounds me for sure. And, I am very spiritual, and so I like to do self-reflection. I don't know. I think that's important. So.
What did your husband and kids say when you made the move from nursing to automotive?
They're always supportive. They're very supportive. Of course, my middle girl was going into 10th grade, so she's like, my life is ruined. You are terrible. But I mean, it teaches resilience, right? And then the young one, she was going into 5th grade, so they were okay. I mean, they'd moved before, so it wasn't anything. They're like, here they go again.
That's funny.
But they're doing well. They're very resilient. They are very independent, and
what are they all doing?
So my oldest, Brett, he is a CPA. He works for EY in Chicago.
Okay.
And then my middle girl is home. She is finishing up her doctorate work. She's going to nurse anesthesia school. So, never want to do your kind of nursing, Mom. Which followed in those footsteps, right? Like, you never say never, because there's somebody that writes those down somewhere.
And proves you wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And then the youngest, she just finished up at Cornell. And she is out in Madison, Wisconsin, starting her PhD program in biomedical engineering.
Wow.
She talks about what she's doing in the lab, and it's like, oh, that's very interesting. And my husband's like, what did she do? I don't know. Yeah, so they're
and is
good.
he still flying?
Yes.
Okay.
He flies for American Airlines.
Okay. What kind of equipment is he on?
He's on the 737, so he's a check pilot.
Okay.
So he spends 1 month doing simulator work and training with pilots in Dallas, and then 1 month on the line doing checking off pilots and training.
So he's not flying as much as, or is he flying at all right now?
He flies the line.
Oh, sorry.
Every other month.
So fly the line means
so like if you're a pilot and you've just upgraded from first officer to captain, and you need to have a check off and you want a check pilot who's got a lot of hours in that plane with you,
gotcha.
because you're moving from one seat to the other, so they have to have so many flights like that.
Oh, interesting.
There could be new first officers who've never flown into like special terrain, like maybe in Latin America, where you've got the mountains and short runways. And, the first time they're going to do that, they've got a plane full of people back there.
You want a guy that's done it a bunch of times.
In there that's done it and that can say, watch out for this.
Wow. So how many hours does he have? Do you know?
A gazillion.
Yeah.
So.
That's a big. I don't know how to put that in the transcript, so we'll just put a lot of zeros on it.
Of the thousands.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Great. And how much longer will he do that?
Mandatory retirement is 65.
Okay. So he's got 30 more years.
He's got a retirement date on his birthday.
Okay, good. Yeah. Good for him.
5, 6 milestone birthday coming up.
Okay. A lot of our viewership or listenership is the business community, the middle market business community. We're all certainly wondering what others think the economic outlook appears to be. So from your vantage point, you obviously have purview into different orders, different things of that nature. What do you think in the next 3 to 5 years looks like?
I wish I had a crystal ball to be able to really say that. Right now, things, I think, for our customers, they're trying to figure out what they're doing. So there's a lot of scrambling, especially with the tariffs and trying to bring things back to the U.S., which that's good to do. I think it's going to take some time to do that. There has to be a market for that. It could be expensive to do that. I think a lot depends on, kind of this, for our industry, the flip-flopping of administration priorities is a challenge. Right?
Like what we talked about with the EV piece.
Full speed ahead. We'll put all our investment there, and then kind of the pullback on that has caused a lot of scrambling. But we'll figure it out. So I feel like, maybe pulling it back a little bit has opened some opportunities for, maybe hybrid vehicle space to come on board, that maybe you'll get more adoption into EVs by that slow roll, like people more comfortable when they don't have the range anxiety, but still feel like they're doing right by the environment and their wallet, through not buying as much gas, right? And so I think that, we'll level out and it'll be okay. Will there be bumps in the road? Definitely. So,
Yeah.
I think we'll find a path.
Okay, good. So you think there's a little pain of change, but good.
That's what I hope.
Good blue skies beyond that.
Well, we'll figure it out.
That's what I think is great. I mean, we will figure it out, right? You will.
Whatever it's going to be, we'll figure it out. That's kind of my mantra. You got to sometimes take it as it is.
Yeah, I think that's a great attitude. I mean, I think that's where, whether it's the media or whatever, or just people, misery loves company. Everybody loves to talk about that negative side of things. But when you look at folks like yourself, or you look at Andra, or you look at Paul, or you look at Bruce, or any of these other people that we've mentioned, is I don't care how bad it gets, they're going to find a way to do something that brings value to the economy around them and to the community around them, and we're going to make it work.
Yeah, exactly.
So keep your eyes open and but always be
keeping your head up. Yeah,
keeping your head up for sure. So what else? Anything else you'd like to close out with? Words of wisdom?
I don't know. Don't be afraid of change, right? Look for Emotiv Mobility at CES.
Yeah. That's actually something we should make sure that we highlight before we go. Is CES is coming up in January?
January 5th.
Okay.
Through the 10th, I think.
In Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So, and we know, what, couple 100,000 or more people go to that every year?
Yeah, for sure.
And what's your booth going to be filled with? It's going to be with Emotiv. You're going to have the folks from Air there as well. And who else? And what's this going to be all about?
We have a startup that we've supported called Selling. So they are doing some really interesting, and we are helping them integrate that with some of our capabilities and contacts, right? So they're doing some lightweighting through wire harnessing. I don't know if you're familiar. So, those are, if you're putting together, say, an instrument panel, all those little buttons have to have wires that come through them. And as we have instrument panels that do more things for you, right? Your infotainment center and all. I mean, some of these wire harnesses are like,
sure.
Yeah, I mean, we have to put them under heaters to be able to bend them and all that. Well, they've come up with a technology to lightweight that, to make that a flat.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so we're helping them move down that path with our customers and helping our customers to see a different way of doing things.
Yep.
Which is key. So they'll be there. We're going to have our new transformer prototype there, our smart transformer, along a pad mount and a pole mount.
Okay.
So that will be in the booth. That's very exciting.
And the way that works is it sits outside of the vehicle or it sits inside the vehicle? This is for
like your houses. Like when you walk through your neighborhood and you see those little green boxes that are everywhere. Well, currently those are supposed to, supply like maybe 10 houses.
Okay.
I'm making that up. I don't know how many, but as an example, 10 houses, now we have all these devices, iPads. Households are plugging in more things than they ever have. So they can't support as much. Not to mention they're really old. And the lead time to try and get any, it's crazy. Like a year to get transformers in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 50 some months. And they're probably, I would say at least 50% are made outside of the U.S., if not more.
Okay.
And so we are looking to, be a solution that can put that manufacturing here in Michigan and to have smart transformers and to be able to do it to scale, manufacture to scale for that. So our design, our capabilities.
So I thought you were talking about the how the car charges as it's braking or the vehicles and all that. This is actually
the energy company.
Got it. Okay, I was actually confused about that. I'm glad you clarified that.
Big deal.
So you could be in all of our homes.
Open.
Good stuff.
Open power in the future, right?
Great.
Yeah. sustainable way. So that will be there. We're going to have, also, I was talking about that intellectual property we had. So we have a transfer case that goes into, we think the use case will be mostly commercial vehicle.
Okay.
Right. So you have a lot of tractor trailer trucks that spend a lot of time idling. All that energy goes to waste. We found a way to harness that and put it back into powering the vehicle or other things. So we'll have that there as well. And then we do some warehousing services and warehouse management system and software that we will have showcased in the booth.
Okay. And is that a kind of eat your own dog food type of stuff, the warehouse management software? You guys are using that already
We've designed
yourselves?
That. Yes.
Okay. And are you using it in Dakkota and your other organizations?
Yes, we are.
Oh, great. Okay. So as warehouse experts who have done this for a long time and manufacturing experts, you're now saying, hey, we can share some of what we've learned to be optimized.
Exactly. We can be a logistics center for your business, right? And we can manage that inventory for you 99.9% accurate and deliver it to you what you want, exactly what you need.
Okay.
So it's
and is that how you would explain it at a cocktail party? Because I mean, the group of companies does quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah.
So put that in a nutshell one more time.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we're trying to accelerate sustainable mobility. That's the tagline. But it's that warehouse management service is very key.
Okay.
For a lot of different industries, and so of course automotive loves it, but we know that other industries are going to love that as well.
Yeah, I mean, with all this emerging tech, I mean, they have to be leveraging your people like yours expertise on how do I bring this thing to market, right? So I've got this idea and now I get an order for 100,000 of these things. How do I then put that order together?
Well, sure. And as we want manufacturers, to bring things back to the U.S., they only have so much square footage in their plants. They don't want to put up more brick and mortar. Okay, so what can you take out of your plants to give you more space to do that? And we can manage that for you. And then you can do more of your manufacturing, whatever it is, and handle all of your, we'll handle the supply chain for you. We will handle all of the inventory for you. We will keep it accurate and we will get it to you when you need it, what you need.
On time.
On time. Yeah.
Good stuff. All right. Well, I think we've covered a lot here with you. I mean, I think that this is so exciting, this next chapter with Emotiv. Mm-hmm. I think that's great that we're going to have some feedback from you. I hope after that we sit down again and you tell me all about CES and what you learned and, maybe what others who have technologies or processes or things like that they want to take to market,
right?
What they could learn from you in doing this. Because I think this is a bold move. You've partnered up nicely and you've built a big booth to go do this and showcase. So I think you're going to bring back a lot of learnings for the rest of us.
I know it's exciting.
And the world is going to know what Emotiv is all about too.
That's the game plan.
Good stuff.
Thanks
for doing this.
Yeah,
great job.
Sure, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This episode of the BLT&T podcast is sponsored by Auxiom, business IT and cybersecurity designed to outsmart chaos. And powered by Juniper Networks. Automate your network with Juniper Networks and the Mist AI platform, the world's first AI-driven wired and wireless network.